Okay, are we alive now? Hopefully we are. Hopefully we're in sync. Not the band, just synchronized. Alright. What actually happened is I upgraded the system. As in Alright, it's not that computer I need. What about you? You? No, not you. Where is this computer hiding? Aha. I think. No, you're what the hell's going on here? Sorry folks, stand by, technical difficulties. Aha, found you. Good for nothing computers. Alright. Hey GGWP. So it looks like I'm gonna have to I've just got something in my eye, that's the last thing I need. Probably my own damn hair most likely. And I probably don't have a hairband in my pocket, do I? I do! Lucky me. Okay. Yeah. Let's get this off. Hey Luke. Audio is overlapping. Alright, can someone define to me what audio overlapping means? Do I need to restart? If you're overlapping, you've probably got two tabs open. Someone's 8+ screen. You can go to hell. Alright, let's go to the overhead. We worked on this machine the other week. This is the one that we did the temporary, so to speak, SMC replacement, and just to see if we could actually get any life out of the machine, and we did. Now unfortunately the SMC wasn't the exact one for the job, but it served its purpose. By the way, I don't really recommend using the wrong SMC for the job. This is more of just a case of, well, let's see if we can even get a confirmation one way or another. Again, probably not the best move, but I still made it, didn't I? I made a judgment call, okay? And that's sort of what you do after a while. You get used to making judgment calls. You still get them wrong occasionally. Just like this is now stuck because of the flux. So we have to put yet another SMC on this one. No, this is not the heat to boot one. That's a A1932. This is an A1502, and I've got to remember which board it is that I. What happens if you use the wrong SMC? Various things, really. Okay, so this is the 3476, and I'm going to take one of these partially working units. Okay, so definitely not you. So you've got to be a dual row one. So one of you two little lighters. 3476. Okay. And if this works quickly, we may try and repair the others. The other donor slash semi-working boards. Okay, a little low on the visual there. Okay. Whew. But yeah, if you use the wrong SMC, at worst it just won't work. At best it just won't work. At worst it could metal up something else. Now the only reason why I ended up taking this one was simply because it was, I think, just a different memory variant, or a very subtle variant of the same machine. But that's not a guarantee, in all honesty. So 460 and 110. It just sucks that I'm going to have to redo an entire SMC. At least we know this one works. I should baggy it up. Except the downside is I can't remember what board it did come from. I'll have to go back and check. It should jump off. Yeah, I was going to say they should jump off a bit sooner because it is leaded balls on there now. Hey Dragon. Hey Rescuer. Pisces, from Canada. Hey Eric. Now you can't burn hair. Yeah, exactly. It's always nasty. Alright, let's get some hot air wicking going on here. Get my spool of tech spray wick. I actually use both tech spray and goot. It just depends on my mood or whatever's close to hand. More than anything else. It's got pretty much zero to do with loyalty. I'll probably put more choice in selecting things based on my desire to troll than I do loyalty. Okay, that's nice and cleaned up. So we can put that aside. That's ready for when we do have our working SMC again. And now we proceed to remove this one. Oh, that's right. I meant to put some flux down just to help me get these edge bondings to lift up really easy. This looks like another one with that slightly different edge bonding. The material, it's not as spongy or soft as the normal stuff. Now I'm just warming up the board so that when I take the heat away, the edge bonding will actually stay softer a little bit. Because I'm not talented enough at this point to be able to hold the hot air in one air. No, can't speak even. One hand. And pick out the edge bonding at the same time. Oh, maybe I am. No, I'm not. That was a short-lived bit of euphoria. Celebrated too soon. I mean, the whole counter thing that's going on at the moment, at best, it's there for a bit of social gathering, as it were. Consider it to be like people queuing up at the Apple Store waiting for the next iPhone. So that's basically what Lewis has done there. He's emulated the thrill of waiting in front of your favorite Apple Store for the next iPhone. Some people are going to camp out. Most people won't. Rescue, it's not exactly sure what it is, but it's some kind of silicon, I imagine. It certainly feels like it, but it's quite a high temperature one. It's infinitely better than the underfill, that's for sure. This is going to take a little longer because this has got the lead-free balls on it, since it is an original factory. And a gecko laughing at me. Come on, get off. I do wonder if my hot air is getting out of calibration or something. Yeah, they don't normally take quite this long. There we go. That was a little long. Hopefully I didn't popcorn it. Even though there was the edge bonding playing up on it, that shouldn't have really stopped it too much. Anyway, it's off. So now we can start to process this. Well, I don't think the hot air is faulty. It's just more a case of maybe it's drifted in its calibration a bit and it's not really pumping out at 460 or whatever it is that I've got it set at. Alright, now we have the fun stuff. Time to reball. I really need to get myself my planned CNC desktop unit. Again, the problem is the person said to me they would have them in after a month, and it's now been well over 2 months and they still don't have them. So I'm kind of in the situation where I'm going to have to probably just buy direct from China now, and I really didn't want to have to do that. Hey, how's a moth? Let's see if we can clean this up a bit more. What are we talking about? We're talking about CPU operations here. Talking about stack machines. A lot of theoretical computers that you deal with at university, which in reality are just completely and utterly useless. Okay, in general purpose situations. There's always a specific purpose that a lot of those machines can be used in, but we're talking general purpose here. Yeah, but I'll look at the chat when it's inappropriate. Okay, it's a little bit scratched up, but it's not too bad. I got a bit of flux sort of drowning out. I really don't want flux on this for the first pass. At least not if I can help it. As you might remember from the previous time, basically what happens is if you've got flux on the SMC when you try to put the balls down the first time, they tend to get blown out by the vaporizing flux. What am I doing? Asking myself questions that I don't know the answers to. Talking about building... Oh, okay. So what, are you going to build a stack-based CPU or what? We might use this stencil. TTL CPU. Oh, okay, cool, yeah. Yeah, they're fun. Not something I'd do myself, but they can be fun. I think where I pretty much stopped is by the time I did a couple of adders, do an ALU on breadboard, and then that's like, that's it, I'm done. That's enough TDL for me, thanks. If you say TDL a little bit funny, it does sound a bit naughty. And that stencil is ever so slightly buckled. Not a lot. Mind you, it could be the chip itself. Oh, and I've got junk running over my chip again. Hey David Legault, good to see you actually caught this one. I saw you were lamenting over not getting the previous one. And I'm now going to play the devil's advocate because I just smeared a little bit of flux over this. Hey Pernov, how you going? Pernov, this is the SMC one that we did the other day that I used the not quite the right SMC on. Well, we have the right SMC now. And so that's what we're doing. I sure as heck hope the sensors work on this, else then I really will have another problem to deal with. I've tried the tape into the bottom of the stencil thing, I don't like it. So, yeah. I've tried a lot of different methods, and for this particular process of just dropping balls in, I'm fine with this sort of technique. A lot of time gets spent off video meddling around with things, trying to find techniques that I'm happy with. Not to say I do find happy mediums, but I certainly do spend a lot of time doing it. These are 0.35 balls going into a 0.3 stencil. It doesn't cause any trouble. And I do find the magic attract of like this knife edge does a perfectly good job of putting these into their holes one at a time. It seems tedious, but if you can manage to get the bulk of them in with just using the finger rub, then then doing these last little ones isn't a big issue. I'm just trying to make sure I've got them all in before I start with the process. Yep, they look good. Alright, we can start with the process. It's a bit of a cheat, to be honest. It's not really steady hands there. It's just me resting my hand against the edge. Okay, down to... because the next size up is 0.4 and they will not fit in. And if you do get them to fit in... I am losing balls. I've got too much air. I'd lost a couple there off the side I saw, so don't fret. Yeah, the next size up is 0.4 from this, and that will not fit. And you'll end up with a case of your balls will reflow, but they will actually sit on top of the stencil like muffin tops. Shit. You know when I was complaining that I was going to cause myself grief because I let that little bit of flux go on the top? Well, there you go. That's what happens. I knew I was inviting trouble, and trouble came to visit. So what I'm going to have to do is just go real slow. Real slow. That's a pain. I knew I should have dried it off, but I was being damn lazy. So now just see how it just forces them to bubble out like that. And it's really hard to control. I've got barely any... You basically just have to... When you do this, you end up having to just simply reflow oven it. It was stupid of me to think that I could actually get away with it. And it's not the air forcing it out, so you can't say to me, just reduce the air. It's the heat. And I think I've got a ton of flux coming up from the underside, main dumb fault. So I do apologise everybody, we're going to stand by for more technical difficulties. And I'm just dropping down to about 360 on this, in the vain hope that I can actually just oven bake it. But yeah, if you do it with a dry chip, then what happens is the balls reflow into a bit of a weird sort of non-spherical. I think I may just have to pull all these off and dry it. Because they're just way too frisky. Nah. Nah. It's just too frisky. I have to do that again. I should have done it properly the first time. For those who haven't seen it done before, you'll get to see it. You'll understand what I mean once it's done. That's a nice big waste of balls there. Should have been done it right the first time. Sometimes you can get away with this. Sometimes you cannot. You ever use ceramic tweezers? I have looked at them, and I did buy a couple of pairs at one point many years ago. In the end, I did not find them to be really worth the hype, as it were. Hey, Bobby Gordon. The biggest trouble, I mean, ceramic tweezers can offer you some extremely good close tolerance tips that don't bend and things like that. But more often than not, what happens is within about 15 minutes of using them, you break them, or you do some level of damage to them, and then forever after, you keep using them because you want to get your money's worth, but it's never quite good enough. Okay. I know that looks soaking wet, but that's actually just alcohol. This is also a big reason why I want to get my CNC system, because I'll be able to do up the chip holder that I want to make this whole process profoundly less dramatic. I know you can get existing chip holders. I've seen them, I've tried a couple of them, and they're okay, but for these scale of parts, you really need something more specific. Let's try some more tape. Oh, well, at least by doing that, you got to see why it matters to have dry starting point. Yeah, that's true, Christian. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But then again, I suppose you could say something is wet with oil, so I guess the term wet really refers to some sort of liquid as opposed to specifically water, but yes. Alright, let's try that again. Hey, Tranquil the cat. Let's see, I bought a pair of tweezers from iFixit, and the points are so sharp that I'm afraid to use the tweezers on cables or ribbons. You certainly do at times get... I've got a few pairs and I know exactly what you mean. Like if I'm trying to put... well, say with iPhones and you're trying to put the... Oops, this is a few too many balls. You're trying to put the antenna cables routed back down. It can be very... Or even the MacBooks. It can be very easy to puncture those the coax sheaths on them if you've got insanely sharp tweezers. Okay, I've got a few more than I normally deal with here. Hey Steve Avram, good to see you. I'm actually using two hands to do this. One hand steadies the other. And yeah, the slightly broken tip on my knife here is actually assisting in the process. It's not a... definitely not a detriment. It makes it easier. It sort of provides a bigger area to attract the ball Not exactly sure what the exact attraction technique. Whoops, that one went flying. So I'm going to need to use a tweezer to at least get it on in the region. And damn it, I'm going to need more balls. I didn't want to have to pour out more. I've got so few to put in now. Bugger. So you want 3 or 4 and you end up with 30 or 40. Gotta hold your breath when doing this. Let's see, 2 over there. If they don't stick electrically, you can just electrostatically, you can just stab them with the edge of the blade and that'll work. Alright, I think we're good now. Clear these little blighters out. I don't want them getting all interactive with the process. Let's try to roll them off. There we go. That one's a bit reluctant. Alrighty, I think we'll get it this time. And it's dry. Crikey. It's not really a patience thing. It's not that bad. When you're in the thick of doing it, and you're focused on it, the time doesn't seem quite so bad. For you poor bastards watching, okay, I get it. Yeah, it's boring as heck. I can go up to my proper temperature now. Still, so 420 and 25 litres per minute. And as you can see, they're not jumping around. The ones down here in the little pit are jumping around, but yeah, you can see them starting to see how they're all changing shape. They're not going to stick at this point. We don't expect them to stick. But then what we do is we go along and just careful not to drag too hard, or sometimes you do get them pulling out. And then you go back over it. And most times it shouldn't. Yeah, they should all just sit in. You may get 1 or 2 down the bottom that want to try and bobble out. But I think we're good. There we go. Bottom row, 3rd from the left. Yes, there is. Yeah, it's just hiding a little bit, but it's there. Hopefully they've all stuck down. That is the next fun bit. So it doesn't hurt to just take it a little gently and not assume too much. Ah! Okay, we did have... Geez, we had a bunch dislodge. That's a pain in the butt. Well, looks like I didn't do the process well enough, so we've got 3 that I can see that have definitely dislodged. And the worst thing is they're in bad areas. Well, 2 of them are. Alright, that's not a huge issue. What we're going to do is we will not try and place them down manually. We'll actually just shove the stencil back on. And if we're lucky, one of the balls might even still be there. Because everything else is aligned. There we go. The fun thing is trying to remember which ones. I think it was that one, and that one. God damn it. I need some balls. You're janky. Why is it you can... Yeah. Sometimes the reason why they don't stick is because the pad that was there may have been a little bit dirty. Let's see. Am I actually missing one? Did that one come back? Was that it there? No, that's definitely got a ball in it. Alright, let's try to reflow that. Okay, you're down, you're down, you're down. Okay, so 3 went down. Okay. Did you change hairdressers? I don't have a hairdresser. You can still see those balls changing back. I guess this is why a lot of us are happy to pay money to have pre-board SMCs. Ah. Let's try that again. Yeah, they look pretty good. Yep. I don't think I'm even going to... wash that off, the flux that's there. It's not particularly burnt or anything like that, so I think it's perfectly good for me to just throw onto the board. I'll add a little more flux on the board, but that's ready to roll. Now the fun thing is, which one is the correct board? I'm pretty sure it's this one. Yeah, it's just a bobbling of the flux that's making it look like they're connected. There's not really. You're talking about the zoom in, you can have a look. And see, it's just a bobble. Why'd you have to ask me what board this is? That's not something I know. 30 something something something. I don't know why people think I know board numbers. About the only board numbers I know are 2936, 3115, 3437, and 00165. That pretty much is the extent of my board knowledge. It's a Mac, yeah. That's pretty much it, yeah. A MacBook. It's a MacBook, yeah. Let's see. Where is the number on this? Yeah, 3476. And I've lost my SMC. I'm fairly sure that is in the correct position, but I am going 100%. This is SMC, and the dot should be upwards and right, and you can see there it is indeed. Alright, let's roll, and hopefully I won't botch it up. And hopefully this one won't take forever to put down. I will though check to see that the balls are lined up roughly well enough. So I'm just going to let the flux solidify a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit back from where it should be. Not that it has to be perfect, in fact it's worse if it's perfect, but it does help if you can be pretty reasonable to the mark. You do want it offset slightly so that it gives you an indication of when it has reflowed properly. Because if you're watching today's earlier stream, I put a new backlight driver on, a 00165. And there was no real visual indication that that backlight driver had in fact reflowed, because I put it on too well aligned. And so we didn't get the jump. Shit. Of course you don't want a big jump like that either. Now the trick here is not to panic too much. Not try and imagine all the minutes that you just spent reflowing up doing the balls, and hope to dear Lord that it actually slips back. There we go, and now it's dancing. Not panicking helps. Hot air is more than enough. Yep. Okay. Yep, that looks pretty good. Certainly in the earlier days I would have stopped that reflow, and then I would have tried and nudge it back into the right place, and it just would have gone bad. And what would happen is you'd get partial ball reflows, and so you'd have to do all the reballing again. It'd be utterly pointless. I guess the way you sort of got to look at it is, well, it's jumped a little out of where I wanted. It's either going to jump back and be okay, or it's botched anyway. So at least if I wait until it does jump back, like does the full reflow, then I can check to see whether it was a dud. because at this point, after it's done the first jump, there's basically no going back from there. You may as well just see it through to the end and hope that it did actually sort itself out. But yeah, they're looking good. They're looking good. There's one very messy board now though. And I've got more of these boards coming in from AliExpress, this particular model, but they're donor boards, they're not complete boards. So this, as you can see, is a complete board. It's got CPU, RAM, everything. So what I'll do is when they arrive, I will then try and diagnose this board and find out what fault it has. This is just an eBay lucky dip for me. And hopefully this actually didn't have a faulty SMC. That'd be a laugh if that was what the case was. Because then I'll be right back at square one. And then I would say some choice words. And YouTube will then say, "You are demonetized." Ah, man. Where'd I put that roll of paper? There we go. No, I've still got my old Undertake flux, so as long as it's working well enough, I'm content to keep going with it for now, until I run out. And then when I run out, I'll see whatever is the latest greatest, and I'll check with Tim and I'll check with Lewis, but Lewis is biased because, you know, he sells it. So whatever he has in stock is the right one to have. But then again, Tim now stocks it, so he's also unreliable for information. Just kidding. Yeah. I figure if those two, if whatever they're using must be at least reasonably good enough, because they got the same equipment, electronics repair equipment, of course, the same stations, so if it works for them, it's probably going to work for me. Oh my god, I hate doing these. This is the worst part, for me. Just getting the flippin' flexes back in. Flippity, flippity, flip. Flip. No. I'm just trying to wonder, will MRI work on this? I'm pretty sure it shouldn't it? Or is this a 2014? Where's Pionov? Pionov, will MRI run on 3476? Or what about ASD? What ASD can I use? I know Dragon's going to bite my head off because I should have that printed out on the desk here. He was kind enough to send me the information and I keep it on my other desk, but I haven't actually printed it out and laminated it for this one. Why? Well, probably because when I do live streams I can yell out at people and people help me. So really, yeah, you people are the worst for me. You bring out the worst in me and making me lazy. Ooh, that's... is that a metal foil foam? Hey ZX, good to see you. Let's see. Peter O'Keefe and Nathan Hopkins. Hello Nathan. Let's see, MechTech. Yeah, House of Moth. I really should tape those down. Someone sent me a consumer sent me a board the other week, or a machine, and they'd already partially disassembled it, but they were smart enough to tape those cables to the back, back here. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I'll do that. And guess who hasn't done that? Yeah, me. But it's a smart idea because, yeah, it's a pain otherwise. Alright, this doesn't have a drive in it. So first we're going to try MRI. But I have a feeling it's probably not going to work. I guess we'll see. Yeah, thank you, Soldering Iron, for telling me that you're alive for whatever reason. Okay, we've got a fan spin. It's a good start. We've got a bong. It's got to have a good... I say bong, I notice Lewis says dong. I think he has a language issue. The inch of the MRI is that it only works up to, I think it was 2014 machines, or is it 2013? At least this one, anyway. And it does seem to take a while to boot at the best of times. Okay, we're alive. It takes long enough to boot that it gives you the panic reflex. Staying gate. Well, this is a 1502. I think this is just abuse gate. Oh, that's... Someone might be able to help me here. I've got a 27-inch iMac, 2013, I think, like late 2013. And I cannot stop it from bonging at the start, like when you turn it on. And it just goes bong. And yeah, that's fine during the day, but at 3 o'clock in the morning, when I'm trying to sneak in and check something, it's really not a good sound to have just bellowing through the house and waking everybody up. So is there a way I can stop that? Okay, everything's really complaining here. And no wonder someone didn't put the cross flex on. So that'll explain that at least. I'm not plugging the battery in because the battery needs replacing on this because it has corrosion in its contacts. If you mute it in macOS and turn off cleanly, it shouldn't chime the next time. Okay, because I've been trying to mute it and it wouldn't, so I'll do that. Thanks, Penov. And Penov, this 3476, should MRI work on it? Or what ASD can I run on it? Coburn, I have an Emax 700G4. It does that. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen one of those. Add a 555 and a relay to the speakers. That's classic style. I'll have to try it again because I'm pretty sure I set it to mute or very, very low volume, and it just, didn't. It did not honor my settings. Waiting for Pernov to reply back with the answers that I need in life. At least we should get Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, SD card, all that sort of stuff coming up now. Pseudo NVRAM system audio volume percent 80. Okay. Oh, he said 162. Okay, sorry, Pernov. Roughly, what do you charge to change an iPhone success battery? I charge, what do I charge? I charge 79 Australian dollars for those. I know, it's pretty pricey compared to some other places, but that's what I charge. We've got some sensor issues there, so it'll be interesting to see. It's probably battery sensor that is complaining. It'll be something like battery temperature sensor that it's complaining about. If there was one thing I'm very happy about being out in this rural area is that I don't have to deal with scraping down to the bottom of the barrel for jobs. So, and there's Townsville's an hour and a half drive away. So if people are really like going, that's just too expensive, I'm not going to pay that for that job, then they can drive the hour and a half to Townsville or just wait until that. Most people end up driving there once a month or something like that on a typical basis, or know someone who do. So they've always got that option. But if they want it done now and they don't want their phone completely mangled, then they can pay the price and I'll do it. Because I definitely do get back a number of phones that have been serviced in Townsville, and they're usually at the kiosks, the cheap places, There are good places in Townsville that, you know, they do good jobs. They look after the equipment in the same way that I try to look after everything. But there's certainly a lot of places that, yeah, they just hack away at these machines. No worries, Luke. Yeah. Alright, so... Oh yeah, there's no disk drive in this as well. So this should be complaining about, yeah, battery TS max. Okay, so that's fine. So it looks like we're good now. We've got the anticipated errors for sensors. So this machine is now fixed. And I'm just going to have to tell the person they need a new battery. I'm not doing that because this is from another business. I'm going to let them deal with the glory of removing battery packs. No, sorry, I'm not doing that. I do them occasionally, but I don't like doing it. Mostly because, see, this room is in the furthest corner of the house on this property. So if this thing catches a light, I'll have to... I suppose I can throw it out the screen window. But other than that, I'll have to run through the house, and it wouldn't be a pretty sight. It'd be most embarrassing. Alright, so that's fixed, and I might as well just put that back into the proper container so I don't lose it. Oh, come on. I'll have to ultrasonic that board though, but at least that's working. What to work on next? I suppose we're going to have a look at some of these donor boards, I guess. Billville Town. Yep. It's been a bit of a joke for a lot of people. Okay, so this one, we've taken the SMC off, so that will have to go somewhere else. This SMC, I have to find out who it belongs to. I should do that right now, because otherwise I'll forget, and it will become a wasted part, because we know it works. And we don't really want it to become a wasted part. We could use it later. It might actually save us. And I've got to just remember which board it was that I took it off. And since I didn't have too many of those boards, it shouldn't be too hard to find it. I'll just look for the one that's missing an SMC. Yeah, I know. I'm stuck down here in the... in my... Okay. What are you? No, you're a 4924. You definitely didn't come from 49, nor that one. What about you? I think it was from this one. You're a 3536. Okay. So that's why it sort of worked, but didn't quite work 100%. 35, 36. 35, 36, 820. Not that I have to actually tell myself that's an SMC. How much do these donor boards cost? Well, these ones I get a bit of a special price from someone I've bought a lot of them from. And put it this way, it's under $100 by a fair bit. The actual donor boards from AliExpress, they're only about, by the time they get here, about 25 Australian dollars for me each. So if I can get these type of boards in a reasonable condition, then I prefer to get them locally. They haven't been abused as badly as the AliExpress ones. As this is very slow to power up, and that's kind of boring. They'll probably be just a sensor issue. And I don't really have a way of testing it, that's the other problem. So we're looking for something that's got no power. And Paul just realizes that he doesn't have a test chassis, he doesn't have anything to really test this with. Let's have a look at the board anyway. Desperate for a 00928 donor board. Ooh. Yeah. Good luck finding that. We haven't got board views and schematics for those yet. Real ones. I can't remember. I do need to get myself another chassis for these 1502s. Okay, so we've got a bit of corrosion over here. We've got a really messed up connector there, actually. Someone... Oh, man. Why do people do this? How does that even... Look at that. What they've done is this is the cross flex, the one that goes off to the daughter board. And instead of lifting it from this side, they've gone and they've tried to lift it from the front here, and it doesn't like that at all. So what's happened is it's snapped that right off, and now we have a buggered connector. It probably still works, particularly once it is actually connected back up, but yeah, it happens. It's one of those things that usually leads to intermittent issues in the future. What is it, 35, 36 board? Right, okay. Now you're probably thinking, why don't I just whack this into that chassis that's just, that I've just been using for the customer? Well, the problem there is if there's something terribly wrong with this board and it, say, damages a screen, then that's really not a risk I want to take. I don't mind risking my own stuff sometimes on unknown boards, but no way I'm going to use a customer's machine to test my stuff. You're just begging the universe to come along and kick you right in the delicates. I can't see anything actually visually wrong yet. And that's kind of actually more discerning than the other option. Discerning? Concerning. My goodness. Brain's not functioning. So I guess what I'm going to have to do is look for a 1502 chassis. Good flippin' luck to me for that. You know how hard those things are to get? Okay, we've got a blown through veer there of corrosion. That looks like a puckered robot's backside. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. We were all thinking it. I'm just going to put some red marks there so I can locate it in the future. Dragon, no kidding it's not good, eh? No kidding at all. Fortunately, I don't spend a huge amount of time here. I need to change my workbench again. So trouble is if I go like this, then it's actually quite hard for me to do other things. I probably need one of those adjustable desks, sit at it for a couple of days, find the optimum working height combination and everything, and then replicate it with a wooden bench. Yeah, this one's got me stumped. Other than that veer, which isn't really a lot to go on. Oh man, this wood top's still a little bit buckled. Gotta sneeze. And that was some ultrasonic cleaning there of my nostrils. Yeah, big time. Alright, let's have a look at the slow 2014 then. It's already a bit of a concern. We've got some sort of fuxy goop there. Very slow. Powers up though. At least according to the sticker. And we should trust the sticker. Stickers never lie. It's hard to say if that's genuine liquid damage on those, or whether it's just someone washed it. So it's a 3476. Oh yeah. Well, that'll be probably why it's slow, because that's temperature sensor for the CPU, I think. Glass of water, I probably could actually do with that. That's a literal train wreck there. I don't think that's even worth fixing. You can see a lot of those pads, the veer is underneath them. And everyone's saying, yeah, give it a go. It's like, yeah, maybe I should. But yeah, that's probably why it's not running so well. I'm pretty much just going to wipe out this whole section. And that's why, look at that, that's chewed right on through. So, opinions on, is this going to be a donor board? Or would you try repair this? Looks like some of the pads there, like I said, I'm more worried about these ones with the veers. I suppose I should see if those pads pop up anywhere else that's reasonably accessible. So what are we after? 3476. Which is the one that we've just been working on. Which is this the one we took the SMC off? Nope. This is the other one. Bob the Builder. Yes we can. Alright. So I'm sort of thinking, yeah, that's what I was hoping, that these here will be veers for the things that I need. So what we can do is, instead of having the resistor running across here, we could just make it go diagonal. Yeah, well, let's see if we can rebuild anything. No harm in a bit of practice, eh? Aim racks, what sort of, I mean, yeah, sure, go ahead. I mean, I'll leave it to the mods to decide. Let's see what comes up first. Damn pad stealing all my solder. Some of those test pads are less than ideal. So does anyone else here watch Cody's Lab or Alex Steele, Blacksmith? I know a bit different, but kind of curious to see what other people have similar tastes. I'm pretty sure a fair number of you will watch Cody's Lab. Kind of excited for him to get into more of his mining stuff. I find Alex Steele quite interesting for the fact that he basically perpetually declares himself as being a complete noob. Well, sort of. Yeah, he's constantly throwing himself under the bus. But I think it's really good that he's got what's the other guy's name? Anyway, it's a good combination having the two of them there now. It was good to see them finally get the sword breaker finished. That was a bit of a drama. Ah. Yeah, I saw Cody's chicken hole broke. Any idea if he's glued it back together or not? I know he's posted a couple of videos since I last looked, so I don't know if that was covered. Yeah, I hear people talking about Aussie 50. I didn't know who the guy was. I'm guessing something less than ideal happened to him. I've got a veer stump there. With the sword breaker, they finally got it done. They did have to. They just got a billet cut for the actual main sword. They got a little bit pedantic for my personal taste with the guard and a couple of other things, but you know, I mean, that's their choice how they want to do it. I'm there just watching for the ride. And I'll throw out my random commentary that they obviously don't need to listen to because I'm just a random YouTuber watcher. I'm having a hard time getting these stumps to come to life. I don't know what this was corroded with, but it's actually very reluctant to revitalize. I might have to drop a few milliliters of hydrochloric acid on here. I'll get it going. He committed suicide. That's no good. Not good that people. It's not good that people feel that they have to take that sort of step to deal with things. It's unfortunate. See, Roberti Soares. Hi, Paul. I'm a programmer at a shell right now, and child management is a what? I'm really not even sure what to make of that. DJR from Philippines. Oh, okay, g'day. Yeah, I'd say that, yeah, it was definitely a drawn-out saga, that one. And so, moving to the billet was a good idea, but they still took far too long with it. The trouble with the glass fiber pencil is it's not going to end up doing much in this case. It's predominantly just going to scratch away the conformal coat and not really achieve a lot of other things. I'm just finding it frustrating that I can't seem to break through the corrosion on, like here. So normally you can scratch out that and you will break through. Oh, here we go. But it's taken a lot more force than it normally would. So I'm not sure what corroded that. Glass fiber pens do work well on boards that don't have the recessed pads relative to the conformal layer. What am I talking? Not conformal layer, the mask layer. My goodness. What am I looking for here? I'm looking for something that has a rather profound effect on copper. It's something similar to this, but it's not that. Now, I don't know what I've done with my sickle blade. Oh well. Normally what I do is I use the sickle blade and I can slice off the layers bit by bit. I could try a new blade on this. So I also don't want to scratch out too hard, because what will probably happen is I'll lift the pad entirely. Okay. Ah. Definitely plumber's flux would do a marvellous job right now. If you use plumber's flux, you basically kill the board ultimately. But it's oh so tempting. Oh so tempting. Audio died. No, audio's good. Yeah, with normal consumer electronics, if you get the urge to use plumber's flux, then don't. But it is really tempting. At one stage when I was starting out my production run with some of the model aircraft electronics, I needed to I needed to do a whole bunch of wire looms, and I have a solder melt pot, and yeah, you just sort of dip the bunch of wire ends in, and it tins them very quickly. But the trouble I was having was that the tinning just wasn't really working as well as I want, and part of that's probably because it was just cheap Chinese copper, and so whatever alloy they used really was disinclined to take the solder. So I had the great brain fart idea of using plumber's flux just for that purpose, because I thought, well, it's not the electronics I'm working on, so, you know, and I'm going to rinse this. So anyway, I used plumber's flux, and oh, it was fantastic. You know, all the wires tinned up beautifully. So fantastic. But about 6 months later, then all the problems started cropping up, and looms were falling off, and I was getting rot inside the wire. The what do you call it? The sheath. So I had to recall all those. That was a really dumb mistake. I should have just used a slightly better flux for the tinning, something that could cope with the method I was using. Nah, stuff this. I don't think I'm going to put the investment in this one. I have a feeling this is going to bite me in the butt later. Copper clad aluminium. It was copper that I could tell, but it was. There are some alloys of copper that they use which really do not take nicely to any sort of tinning. They're sort of more like, well, we're going to use this for crimping. If you don't use it for crimping, sucks to be you. Then again, maybe it was copper clad aluminium, who knows. Just certainly didn't look like it. No, I'm going to leave this. It's 11:30 at night. I've done the job I've had to. I really need to go back and get back to work on Flex Boardview. But at least I know when I come back to this what the problem area is. But I'm going to say the reason why it boots really slow is because that there is messed up, which means it's going to think that the CPU is either cooking itself or something like that. The rest of it looks pretty good. So we'll leave that for another day. Yeah. I should be responsible and go do something else for the rest of the evening. Will you stream the work on the board file? No. Mostly because it's actually very hard to do that sort of workflow as a stream. Mostly because I've got 3 screens. They're all 1920 1080s, and I could probably use, say, the webcam as the 4th quarter. But then you won't be able to see any of the details. So it effectively has to be done as a 4K stream, and I certainly can't encode 4K stream on a little i3. So yeah, that's completely out of the option. So it's not going to happen. Plus the other thing is you'll get to see all the nitty-gritty details about things like passwords and addresses and all the stuff that I don't need to worry about when just coding. But then if I've got people watching over what's going on the screens, it could be a little bit too revealing for me. So, hey Sonia, good to see you. Sorry. And Rodrigo's now going to be all upset because I'm leaving. Bugger. But I might have another one tomorrow. I need to go and find a 1502 chassis. I've got my own 1502, but I like that machine when I go on jobs and things like that, so I don't want to mess with it. There is another 1502, but that is my wife's, and I really don't want to mess with that. I'll get big trouble. So yeah, I've got to go find myself another 1502 chassis, and they're very hard to get your hands on because the screens are worth a lot. I mean, even a beat up screen like the one we just saw, they'll easily sell on eBay for $300, no problem. So what I kind of have to do is find someone who is a bit sneaky, I suppose, but find someone who's basically given up on their MacBook and they're not really interested in reselling on an eBay or anything like that. And I can sort of go, well, I'll give you 150, 200 for it or whatever. It's a little bit low-bally, but the thing is, when you're doing this sort of thing, you've really got to be like car wrecker type pricing mentality. Like if you get a car wrecker to come around and pick up your half-dead car, they're not going to give you what you might consider low-end market value. They're going to give you low-end market value divided by about 4 or half if you're really lucky, and that's just simply to cover their expenses and potential losses, and yeah, they've got to make a margin somehow. Let's see, next stream, other stuff to fix, like desktop board or other stuff. I don't really bother to fix too many other things. Yeah, because I do have the software that I'm doing and my normal iPhone repairs like screens and things like that. It doesn't leave me with a lot of room in this workshop to deal with other boards like motherboards and stuff like that. Occasionally I'll do a power supply. If it's a blown cat motherboard, sure, I'll look at it, but overall I don't diversify out much because it just simply takes up too much space, takes up too much mind space, and generally isn't profitable. It's called business. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Steve. It's called business. So, alright. So with that, I'm going to sign off. But thank you all for watching. I appreciate that. Sorry, it was a bit of a dead end at the end there with me just scratching away at a board yabbering. But I am glad we got that other one fixed with the new SMC. It was, yeah, glad to see all the sensors come up properly. So, ching ching, I make some money out of that, gets that sent off, and leave someone else to do the battery. Fitting a cheese grater in that space. Oh yeah, it's not going to happen. I really should clean up all this. This is actually dead area. It's just covered with disassembled iPhone bits and I've got an iPad bits and pieces there, and that used to be where I would do most of my PC repairs, but because of the change in the way the rooms are being used here at the moment, I've moved to the other half of the building. I don't really want to be trekking large PCs all the way through and putting them in here. It's about a 40-meter walk, and it's through a lot of corridors. So that's become a bit of a dead zone. Occasionally I might put a laptop up there or whatever. I should really clean that up and use that for when I finish the MacBook, so I can then package them up and things like that. So anyway, I'm going to leave it, and thank you all again for watching, and like and subscribe and share and all that sort of stuff. Help me try and get to 1 million subscribers before Lewis or Eli. We know that's not going to happen, but hey, you know, a man can dream. And I will catch you all next time. Take care. I'll see you later.